Okay, hello everyone. Today it is my great honor and pleasure to have with us Srishti Banka. Her profile is anything but ordinary. She holds a bachelor's degree in commerce from the prestigious Narsee Mumbai College of Commerce, where she was among the top 10% of the batch. After that, at just 21 years of age, she went on to complete her chartered accountancy. And then, after a short stint at her family's professional services firm, she went on to work for the oldest law firm in India for 2 years in the mergers and acquisitions, IPO, and the private placement department. She then went on to start her own advisory firm called Banka CFO at a very young age of 24, and meanwhile even completed her Bachelors of Law degree from Mumbai University with the first class honors. She also holds a Master of Arts degree in English Literature from Mithibai College of Arts and is also a CFA Level 3 candidate. Currently, Shristi is pursuing MBA from Cornell University's Johnson Graduate School of Management. And for those of you who don't know, Cornell is part of the prestigious Ivy League schools in the US and is constantly ranked among one of the best universities in the world. And to be honest, I had first heard about Cornell from Andy Bernard in the American version of The Office, where he constantly bragged about being from Cornell. But now we know it was something to be really proud of. Also, she's a very ardent fan of Game of Thrones and runs an Instagram page that has had almost 200K followers. She loves traveling and poetry and has even authored a book. And yes, she's an author as well. By the name of Summer Solstice and other poems. She's also been the recipient of numerous awards and has been featured in various publications as well. So, Srishti, a very warm welcome to you. And I have to say, it's really an honor for me to get a chance to interact with a person of your caliber. So, a very, very warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much, Ekansh. That was such a warm and wonderful introduction. And I'm really happy to be here. And I'm so glad that we had a chance to connect. And you're doing some wonderful work, which is very inspiring and motivating for all the chartered accountants in India and across the world.
Thanks a lot, Srishti. So, I will just get started right away with my first question. So, could you brief us a bit about your entire CA journey? How it all started, how it all went, and what was your experiences?
Sure. So CA, my family, it's actually really funny, but my family is very dominated by CAs. Okay, which it's not like it's ordinary to find every second member in my family who is a CA. So if you like, I was just doing math one day. It turns out that 17 members of my immediate family and
Okay.
extended family, they are all chartered accountants. So you can understand that growing up, like what kind of influence that had on me. Having said that, up till my school, I was very inclined towards becoming a doctor, and I wanted to get into science. But as in when I grew up and I became more mature about my professional decisions, I decided that I'm very passionate about business in general. And since my family's business is that of a chartered firm, which has been around for over 3 decades, I was naturally inclined to sort of, like take active role in the business. And since it's a professional services firm, for me, the only way to get into the business was to actually qualify as a chartered accountant, right? So I was fortunate that I was always, a sincere and a focused student, which helped me get good marks and good grades throughout. So I enrolled myself in Mumbai College, which is also Mumbai's premier commerce college, and I went ahead with my commerce and CA education. Now, the good thing, the best thing about about Narsee Monjee College is that everybody, the majority of the students are doing CAs, right? So the first and foremost, the way to get things done is to kind of align your network, right? Is to sort of be around your peer group who are equally as motivated and who want to do similar things as you and who share the same values and just like the motivations are very similar. So I had that opportunity and I finished, and that's how I finished my CPT examination, and I went on to doing my IPCC, and I started my articleship with EY Ernst and Young. And I that's I mean the articleship component was very, very important because at a very young age, at an age of like 18 or 19, you are taught how to interact with corporates and sort of present yourself before big clients. So that was a very key component of my overall professional development. Like when I look back right now, 8 years. 8 years, 9 years down the line, I feel like that component of articleship in my CA journey was very pivotal. It was very unique and integral to CA. So that was really wonderful. And then I also went ahead and I studied. I put in my best efforts for the final examinations. I put in like I think around 6 months of dedicated study with having an organized schedule timetable. And yeah, I was just over the moon when I saw that I've passed. And that's still that day still kind of is so fresh in my memory. Just seeing that result, and I could just suddenly I was like CA Srishti Banka. So yeah, that's about my journey.
Okay, that's really an amazing journey, and with the pressure of 17 CAs on your head, I think that's a great one. Okay,
Yeah.
so a lot of people put a stop to their professional journey after CA. So why did you choose to pursue an LLB after your CA?
Right, that's a very good question. So, like I was telling you earlier, that once I finished my CA, my natural inclination was to go back to my business and sort of work towards expanding it and, just identifying what is it that I can grow. So, whilst talking to a lot of people, I came across this concept of having like a multidisciplinary advisory firm. So I thought, why not leverage it? If we're already a CA firm, why not, expand the horizons and make it more of like a one-stop multidisciplinary practice for our clients. Which is why I thought of, going further and getting my law education. So I went ahead with my 3 years of law degree, and at the same time, just doing the education really doesn't give you that much learning, right? It's also important to keep practicing it, like to channel it in your practical life so that you can implement whatever you've learned. So I got a job at a very recognized law firm in India, and I worked there in the corporate law department. I understood how the legal practices work for M&As and IPOs, and that kind of helped me take a step back and sort of understand what is it that I can do to add value to my own business. So this stint of 2 years at the law firm actually helped me then go back and open my own new business division, which was the financial and the corporate law advisory division, which was catering to newer markets. So that was my idea behind doing law. Having said that, I also have like a general advice for everyone who's going to be watching and listening to this, is that I feel like law education in general is just so integral because it kind of it's the need of the hour, because once you have the ability to interpret law, you are no more a common man. It just gives you that new insight of analysis and how to interpret the various rules, regulations, because businesses are only going to be more complex, right? So I strongly recommend that everybody, in fact, like that's why law is open to everyone, right? Like they're medical students, art students, commerce students, everybody, and they end up doing law. So like everyone should kind of consider doing law if you have an opportunity and the resources to do it.
Yeah. Okay, so Srishti, with such a hectic schedule in between running your own consultancy firm or studying for other courses as well, so how did you manage to get time to prepare for your GMAT, and what were your strategies while preparing for it?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm happy that we're switching gears, from the CA bit and talking more about the MBA bit. So in terms of GMAT, it's very, the approach is very different. First of all, in CA and in LLB, we're used to understanding concepts and reproducing them in the exams, right, in the form of answers. But GMAT is not that case at all. Like your strategy completely changes. So what I did was that I took about, like, I used to study in the mornings before work, and I used to devote my weekends for GMAT prep. So I structured it in a way, like over a period of say 4 months. So the first 2 months, what I did was I kind of like just went through the course material, and the next 1.5 month, I did a lot of mock tests. I did like mock examinations from various websites which are like readily available. If you put in any kind of like GMAT prep onto Google, you can see the best test prep websites. So I went on there, and I started giving a lot of mock tests, and I started assessing that what are the areas that need more work. And that's how I built it up, and I could finally give the final exam, the give the GMAT, and I had my score that I was happy with.
Okay, that's great, Srishti. So, Srishti, just tell us, how did you choose between an IIM versus an Ivy League MBA?
Okay, that's a really really good question. So for that, like it's important to also understand the differences between an IIM experience versus an Ivy League experience outside of India, right? So IIM is actually a PG. It's like a postgraduate diploma in business administration, right? So for IIMs, you don't necessarily need any work experience or even 1 year of work experience. With even 1 year of work experience, you can go ahead and you can enroll yourself into an IIM program. Whereas when you're looking at an MBA program outside of India, the first and the most fundamental requirement is to have certain number of years of work ex, right? You need to have around 4 to 5 years of work ex on average in order to crack into any of these top universities. So for me, how I was looking at my MBA experience was important, and that made all the difference. I wasn't looking at an MBA, just as another qualification or as a means to get a job. I was looking at more in the way that this experience will help me change my leadership skills. It will make me a better manager, right? So I can only do that when I've had sufficient experience before, and I was coming in with 6 years of work experience. So I knew that what are some of the areas, focus areas of development for me as a leader, you know, like in terms of my leadership development, in terms of my emotional intelligence, and just there's so many things. So I could develop as a leader only when I've had that number of years of work experience. So which is why it made sense for me to do an MBA abroad, and sort of work more on those leadership development skills rather than looking at it as a means to kind of end up in a prestigious job in India or abroad. Of course, there are other things. There are a lot of similarities between IIMs and Ivy League or any foreign MBAs, but uh, in the end, it's also about your personal decision. What is it that you would want? So whether you're looking to do your MBA right out of school, or you want certain number of years of work experience and then you're doing it. Also, it's important to keep in mind the kind of audience that you want to relate with, what kind of networks you want to have, right? So if you're doing it in India, naturally your network, your cohort would be of Indians. So if you haven't had that kind of college experience, it definitely makes sense. And if you want to be in India, that kind of network is valuable. But I was looking at it more, from an international and a global point of view. So naturally, an MBA abroad made sense for me.
Okay, that's excellent. Okay, so Srishti, in India, a lot of focus is on the entrance exams for MBAs. So, what do you think the League schools look for in a candidate? Are they focused on just academics, or they look for anything else also?
Okay. So Ivy Leagues are a very small component of the application is actually academics. It's very important that you are a very well-rounded candidate. This term is used very often, well-rounded, but it is like it's a fact, because that's what they're looking for. What kind of candidate you are as a whole, and what kind of contributions you will be making to their prestigious elite communities. So they look at you from multiple buckets. Number one would be of course like having like decent academic scores, but that's not the only requirement. It's also not a prerequisite. So if there's somebody who doesn't have a strong academic record, you can still show your aptitude through GMAT. The other strong bucket is what kind of work experience are you bringing to the community. Whether you have relevant number of years of work ex, whether you've grown as a professional, what you can contribute. And the other third area that they look at is what is your extracurriculars. So what are you, like, if for all the listeners and the watchers, like what kind of a person you are outside of your study and your work. What is it that you bring, to the community, uh, which is very unique to you. So for instance, if you're a marathon runner, or if you're a poet, you're a writer, you're a dancer, and you've excelled in any of these things, what is it that you're passionate about? If you stand in front of 300 people, what is it that you can really passionately speak to them about? And of course, your cultures, your values, your principles, your ethos, um, whether that aligns well with the school's motto and with the school's principles. It's very holistic.
Right. Okay. So, Srishti, as a woman entrepreneur yourself, what do you feel should be done to encourage women to take on entrepreneurship, which is largely a male-dominated industry right now?
Um, I would I would actually say that a lot of women entrepreneurs are, kind of stepping up, and in India and abroad, like for instance, there's Baby Chakra, there's Naika. They're all like such wonderful, inspiring women entrepreneurs. So in fact, things are changing now. It's no more like a male-dominated industry. In fact, it's becoming more and more of like a female power, domain. And I I mean, there's to promote more women entrepreneurs. It's I think the dynamic right now is quite good. Probably, if there's more mentorship, there's more encouragement. I feel like it would kind of inspire more women to take on the challenging roles of an entrepreneur. But other than that, I feel like the things are changing, and definitely it's a good sign for all women entrepreneurs right now.
Yeah, thanks. As chartered accountants, we generally do not have a good grasp in public speaking or communication skills. So, you having a diploma in speaking from Trinity College London, how did you build upon your public speaking skills, and what advice would you give to the viewers watching this?
Okay. So here's, I'm gonna share my secret to public speaking with all of you, and I've never done that before. So I'm happy to do that, Ikansh, on your
That's great.
channel.
That's great.
Uh, so whenever I'm speaking with any group of audience, whether it's a small or a large one, I kind of imagine that I'm speaking to just myself, like I'm in a room wherein there's nobody else, it's just me. I'm talking to them how I would want to be spoken to myself. And that's what does all the trick for me. If it's a group of 1,000 people or 10 people, I speak to them as if I'm alone in the room. So naturally, I'm not that doesn't make me conscious, or I don't hesitate, I don't feel nervous, and it doesn't even block my thoughts, because it's almost as if I'm very honest. I'm honestly speaking all my thoughts because I'm talking to myself. So that's what works for me. And another thing at public speaking is that how much ever you practice, you get good at it. So if you're scared, just stand before the mirror, practice how you would speak. You will actually be able to tell how you're talking, what's your tempo, how's your tone, and then you can like build upon it, and then just keep practicing more and more in smaller groups and larger groups, and that's how you can go about it.
Right. And even I practice in front of the mirror whenever before I interview, whenever I have an event. So that really helps a
Right.
lot. Although I'm still learning, but that really helps.
That's so great to know. That's so great.
So Srishti, with such a hectic schedule, what do you love to do on those odd days when you are able to snatch a little bit of a free time from your schedule?
uh, so I definitely love my me time. I enjoy being at home, just being by myself, cooking something nice and that I can like enjoy, um, that I can like really relish, and just kind of like soak it all in, everything that's happening around me, kind of give it some time to let my thoughts settle down. So yeah, I'm a boring person. I can't. I, I love, I enjoy being by myself on those days wherein I don't have anything to do, and I'm not constantly surrounded by people networking or socializing or something or the other. So I really enjoy that. And apart from that, I like whenever yoga and meditation are two things that I fall back on a lot. So whenever I'm feeling stressed, or if I have a little bit of time and I just need to like kind of unwind, um I just I do some yoga and I meditate, and that really helps me.
That's great. And I wouldn't call a me time as boring. It's really necessary. When you're giving your entire week to other things, it's really necessary to
Yeah,
introspect upon yourself.
I
Okay,
know.
so this is my last question, Srishti. What are your plans after MBA?
Wow, that's a really good question. So so my MBA program is for 2 years at Cornell, and I'm definitely hoping to grow here as a leader and become a better person, individually as well as on a professional level. And I've given it like a good amount of thought, and I plan to pivot into in the career of investment banking since I worked before on M&A transactions, and I after introspection I realized that area really excites me, the entire deal making space. So I plan to do banking, hopefully on a good Wall Street bank, and kind of bring together all my experiences, meaningfully in terms of financial and legal aspects.
Okay, thanks a lot, Srishti, and I'm sure you are going to rock it wherever you go. Oh, okay, so thanks a lot, Srishti, for such an insightful session, and I'm sure a lot of people will be motivated by this. And whenever even I myself might need a dose of motivation, I will definitely come back and watch this interview again. And yeah, thanks a lot, Srishti.
Thank you so much, Ekant. You're such a great, wonderful, person yourself, and I'm really, really happy and proud that you're doing this initiative to inspire others. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Yeah. So just to end the interview on a good note, I would just like to quote a line from Srishti's own book. So Srishti says, "The highest ambitions are achieved when you work towards your dreams without the fear of failing," and that is a thing to live by. So thanks a lot, Srishti.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.